to Trump's second term. Biden is, however, determined to draw a stark contrast with Trump, whose refusal to accept his own 2020 election defeat by Biden culminated in the violent January 6, 2021 assault by Trump supporters on the U.S. Capitol. Meanwhile, former President Barack Obama has also congratulated Donald Trump on his election victory, noting the importance of a peaceful transfer of power. The ex-president also voiced pride over the efforts of Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate Tim Walz, who were defeated in the election. Former President Obama called them two extraordinary public servants who ran a remarkable campaign. U.S. Vice President and Democratic candidate Kamala Harris has promised a peaceful transfer of power to Donald Trump in a different concession speech that urged supporters to keep fighting for their ideas. In front of a cheering crowd, Harris began by urging her supporters to keep fighting for their ideas despite their bitter disappointment a day after Trump scored his decisive victory. After a campaign in which she repeatedly warned that Trump poses a danger to American democracy, she concluded by referring to the sense of being felt by many of her supporters.
Folks are feeling and experiencing a range of emotions right now. I get it. But we must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power. While I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign.
Without mentioning Trump's refusal to accept his defeat to President Joe Biden in 2020, Harris says that honoring election results is what distinguishes democracy from monarchy or tyranny. In Lagos, the 10th African Conference on One Health and Biosecurity has been held with focus on strengthening Africans' capacity to address an emergency global health security threat. Our correspondent Olubukola Akinkolosho reports.
Over the past decade, Africa has faced several public health challenges, from the devastating Ebola outbreak to COVID-19 pandemic. These crises have highlighted the vulnerabilities in the health system, but have also underscored Africa's resilience and potentials to overcome global health challenges. The 10th African Conference on One Health and Biosecurity is a platform for addressing the challenges with the aim to assess Africa's progress in handling health security threats and to explore strategies for building more resilient, responsive and collaborative health system. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is represented by his deputy, Dr. Obafemi Amzat, says the outbreaks of Ebola and COVID-19 have tested the tenacity, exposed weakness in the healthcare system, and highlighted the urgent need for collective action.
In Lagos, we are actively working to strengthen our biosecurity frameworks, enhance our disease surveillance systems, and build a workforce that is prepared for the realities of the post-COVID-19 world. We are also committed to advancing local research, developing indigenous technology, and supporting domestic production of vaccines and medical supplies. We envision an Africa that is self-reliant, resilient, and a leader in global health.
The sessions with the topic Health System Strengthening, Strategy and Policy, Role of Government. Commissioner for Health and his counterpart in the Ministry of Environment say integrated biosecurity and One Health is a way of life which must be embraced by all, and both ministries are taking steps to regenerate the environment for the benefit of all.
The reason we're here is to bolster our Operation BioShield, what we used to deploy the protection against COVID. We meet every year to think about new things, to think about partnerships and collaboration, so that we can continue to build what we call the Lagos State Biosecurity Roadmap. If
we allow this continue, where people take waste and effluent and put them into a system that will now move and go and cause something else, it becomes a challenge for the healthcare system. And we found that out this year when we had the cholera outbreak. Thankfully, the two ministries had to collaborate effectively by deploying LASEPA, deploying Water Corporation, deploying LASWAM, and then deploying LOMA to help mitigate the effects.
The Ebola and COVID-19 may have shown the vulnerabilities of the healthcare system. However, the National Assembly is prioritizing funding for the sector and also addressing the socio-economic factors which is a resistance against pandemic.
The House is committed to leading the change in this regard by reinforcing our health infrastructure, including enhancing laboratory capacity to detect new pathogens and expanding access to affordable treatment and vaccines, among others.
Obviously, the lessons learned from the threat of the pandemic are now being channeled into proactive measures to show the preparedness and response capabilities of the Lagos State government for future health emergencies. Olubukola Akin-Kolusho, LTV News.
The Lagos State government has extended its ongoing free hypertension and diabetes screening campaign tagged Know Your Numbers, Control Your Numbers by 2 weeks to now run through Sunday, November 11. This extension was announced by the Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, who urged Lagos residents to take advantage of the added time frame to undergo the critical health screenings. It says the campaign will continue to provide screening services at over 330 designated sites, including 30 general hospitals and 300 primary health centers across the state. It adds that with the extension, screenings will continue daily from 9 a.m. at the designated sites, which are now strategically located to ensure easy access for all residents, regardless of location, and in a bid to maximize public participation and reach. Special advisor to the Lagos State Governor on Health, Dr. Kemi Ogunyemi, also extended appreciation to all healthcare professionals and partners involved in the campaign for their dedication to improving the health of Lagos residents. She called on community leaders, religious organizations, and local influencers to help raise awareness and encourage participation in the extended screening exercise. In sports, Nigeria's under-18 men's handball team has been crowned the champion of the IHF Trophy African Men's Continental Phase after securing a 38-26 victory over Guinea in the finals held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Meanwhile, the interim coach of Nigeria's Super Eagles, Augustine Iguavon, has invited Ademola Lookman, Victor Osimhen, and 21 others for the African Cup of Nations qualifiers against Benin Republic and Rwanda. We have more in our sports reports.
The finale was attended by prominent officials from the Ethiopian central government and representatives from the Nigerian embassy, including Minister Boko Effiong Mbo. Coach Emeka Nnamani's team started the match with determination, and despite some avoidable turnovers, they led the first half with a score of 21-14. In the second half, Nigeria demonstrated their skills and flair, with Christian Foloki, who recovered from an injury sustained in the semi-final against Cameroon, and standout player Aziz Suleiman leading the team to crucial goals while also strengthening their team against Guinea. Ultimately, Nigeria triumphed with a final score of 38-26, successfully retaining the title they won in Congo-Brazzaville 2 years ago. Aziz Suleiman Olaito was voted the most valuable player of the match. Coach Emeka Nnamani expressed gratitude for the team's preparations and seriousness in the final, acknowledging the support from the Handball Federation of Nigeria under Samuel Ocheho. With this victory, Nigeria has qualified for the IHF Trophy Intercontinental Phase, which will take place early next year in a yet-to-be-determined country, where they will represent Africa in the under-18 youth category. In football, head coach Austin Eguavon has invited William Troost-Ekong, Atlanta of Italy's Ademola Lookman, Moses Simon, reigning African Player of the Year Victor Osimhen, and 19 other players for Super Eagles 2025 African Cup of Nations qualifiers. Super Eagles will engage Benin Republic and Rwanda in the closing rounds of the 2025 African Cup of Nations qualifying campaign this month. Eguavon has also called goalkeepers Stanley Nwale and Maduka Okoye defenders Kelvin Bassey and Bright Osayin Samuel, as well as midfielders Frank Onyeka, Fisayo Dele Bashiru and Al-Hassan Yusuf Abdullahi, and forwards Kelechi Iheanacho, Victor Boniface and Samuel Chukwueze. The three-time AFCON champions Nigeria will wrap up their qualification series with matches against Benin Republic and Rwanda. The matchday 5 encounter with Benin Republic is set to take place at the Stade Felix Hupe Bogna on Thursday, November 14, starting at 7 p.m. local time, 8 p.m. Nigerian time. Nigeria's final qualifying match for 2025 African Cup of Nations against Rwanda is scheduled for November 18 at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo. The Super Eagles are topping the table with 10 points, and a draw against Benin Republic in Cote d'Ivoire secures the 2025 African Cup of Nations ticket.
For more news, connect with Lagos Television on these social media platforms. Please remember to call Lagos Trophy line 767 or 112 in case of emergencies. Thanks for watching the news at noon. I am Omowumi. Okay, we'll see you again at 2 p.m.